folks, and welcome to Quarry Side Chat, where we interview Freemasons and discuss topics about the past, present, and future of Freemasonry in the 21st century. As a reminder, the thoughts and ideas are represented by the participants are their own ideas and thoughts, and not the statements or opinions of any Grand Lodge. Please keep your conversation open to the public and on the level. Today, we're on the level and an in-depth interview with Right Worshipful Brother Bharat V. Epur and his magnificent journey through Freemasonry. These are just to name a few of his vast experience. Right Worshipful Brother has dedicated to join and to kindle the fire and revitalize many of these countless lodges, while also being a founder of most of these lodges, creating a new life and giving a new flame to these different earlier orders that could have been lost in the past. One cannot even begin to quantify the time and personal dedication that he has imparted in order to keep the flame of Freemasonry bright and burning. And with that warm welcome, I would like to present Right Worshipful Brother Bharat Epur. It is our honor to have you on Quarry Side Chat.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon and also with the members of your team, Quarry Side Chats, to chat a little bit about our mutual Masonic journey.
You've also founded a lot of different orders. So this is a sort of way you've resurrected these orders back to life. Is that sort of part of your passion to bring these orders that may be on the verge of disappearing or maybe being shut down, that you reignite them with a new passion?
Well, I don't know whether it is something which I do it consciously, but yes, there is possibly that. I can give one reference here, which is the August Order of Light. The August Order of Light is a very old Masonic order, which incidentally is probably the only Masonic order in the world which has a basis on the mysticism of India and Egypt. Unlike, it's not built on the Solomonic story at all. This order was founded by a person called Maurice Vidal Portman, who was a British person who had come down to India as administrator of the Andamans, based in Port Blair. So he was a keen Orientalist with an exceedingly fine knowledge about Indian philosophy and mythologies. And he came across an earlier Masonic order called the Sat Bhai, which we translate from Hindi into English as Seven Brothers. The Sat Bhai was itself an esoteric order. So it had sort of taken a dip in its popularity. So Brother Boatman kind of used that as sort of a foundation for his own new Masonic order called the August Order of Light. And he established it in Port Blair in the 1850s. And then when he retired and went back to England, the order disappeared from India in 1890s. And it was away from India from 1890s till 2013 or 14, I think, or maybe 15. So when I think 2010 or so, during the course of my investigation into various Masonic strands, I came across this story of the August Order of Light. And I was keen to get to know more about it and, if possible, bring it back to the land of its origin. And I found out that it had survived in England ever since the 1890s. And this order was, unlike others, co-ruled, jointly ruled by two individuals known as the Arch-Presidents. And the senior Arch-President and the junior Arch-President. And the senior one at that time, I was able to, after great difficulty, contact and ask and express my desire to be a member and I want to bring it back to India. And he was rather cold to the idea. So I dropped this pursuit for some time, thinking that maybe I'll have to wait for a better opportunity. Coincidentally, I was also tracking the possibility of bringing the Order of Knight Masons, which is an Irish order, into India. That was more successful. I was able to reach to the Grand Master. He was called the Great Chief, equal to the Grand Master. His name was Most Excellent Sir Knight Bernard Woods. We were able to establish contact, and then he agreed to come down to Chennai with somebody. And also this order existed without my knowing about it in Bombay. So some of the brethren from Bombay, including Adi Aga, Adi Vakil, Stephen Hines, Ranjan Mukherjee, they all came down to Chennai, and from Ireland, Dublin came down the great chief. And there was another brother who came down from Australia, Robert Barnes, who was the chief of that order in Australia. So they came down to Chennai, they were with us for some time, and then we did this ceremony for the petitioners, and then of course we were constituted and consecrated as a council of Knight Masons. So during the the 2-3 days of interaction with them, the subject came up about my interest in August Order of Light and how I was disappointed that we were not able to proceed further. On hearing that, Brother Robert Barnes from Australia said he's a member of the August Order of Light, and he informed me that the person with whom I had been in contact had passed on to the Grand Lodge above, and somebody else had come in his place who would probably be more open to the suggestion. And what was even more interesting was he said that that new person was about to make a holiday with his wife to India, and Chennai was part of that itinerary. So immediately he put me in touch with this new person, and we met in Chennai. We had drinks and dinner together, and then I expressed my desire once again, and he was immediately said, why not? And then he said that, but he made one condition. He said that we need to go to Halifax to get into that order at minimum in a core group. And then he would come with his team and consecrate us. And then I found out that the individual unit is known as a Garuda temple. Like, it's not called a lodge, it's called a Garuda temple. And at that point in time, there were only 5 Garuda temples in the entire world. 2 were in England, 2 were in Australia, and 1 was in America. So if we were to be successful, we would be Garuda temple number 6. And a bunch of us went to Halifax, and we all got into the order. And it was even more fascinating and wonderful than I imagined it to be. And then we came back to India. Maybe about a year later, we were constituted as Garuda Temple number 6. So we are doing well. It's grown up fairly well. And it is, as I said, based on the esotery and philosophy of India, specifically Hinduism, a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of Egyptian mysticism, some Kabbalah.
Wow, that sounds like the perfect order for me. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you so much for that
meet 4
information.
times. We meet 4 times a year, and we meet on Sundays. And these are the Sundays which are closest to the equinoxes and the solstices, because each ceremony has a connection with either the equinox or the solstice.
Amazing, amazing.
But if you're interested in this, you will have to write 3 essays. The first essay is why you wish to be a member of the order. The second and third essays are non-political, non-religious, and non-Masonic. They have to be of some interest to you, in which you are knowledgeable, and which you would like to share that knowledge with others. Something unknown to the others. So the idea behind this requirement is for us to gauge your ability to express your thoughts, and how you're able to, transmit those thoughts to others. So these essays which you write will have to be approved first by the council in Chennai, for final approval by the council in Halifax. Only after that approval is accorded are you invited to become a member.
Okay. That's absolutely amazing. We are wondering about what candidates in today's age who want to be Freemasons. What is your perspective towards them? I mean, as just from all this knowledge you've gathered, you must have an overview of what the candidate should expect in this modern age, or what he should be looking for.
Well, that's quite a challenging question to answer in short, but one thing I can say with confidence is today's candidates, today's youngsters are not the same as what they were even when I was a candidate for Masonry 20 years ago. The times are changing rapidly. Our environment, our work environment, our home environment, everything is changing rather fast. And as I mentioned once before, our cities are expanding rapidly, and the jobs and the people are moving to the outskirts of the cities, the suburbs. Our Masonic centers, the Freemasons Hall, which are a legacy of a British past, are all located in the central part of the city. The commute times from the outskirts to the center is increasing day by day, more and more difficult. And to expect a young Mason just starting out in his profession to leave work at say 3 in the afternoon in order to make it in time for the Masonic meeting starting at 6 on a weekday is a challenging task indeed. And dare say that at some point in time, the young boy will give it up and say, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And once he misses a particular meeting, it becomes less difficult to miss the next one and so on. And each successive meeting you don't attend, you lose interest in the Masonic experience. So that has been my understanding and my, what should I say, experience when it comes to these things, because we have seen that happen in big cities, especially Bombay. When I was master of Reginald Spence, when I took over as master of Reginald Spence, it was because of a request from 2 Masons whom I admired hugely. One was late Right Vashpada Madhu Narang, the other one was Right Vashpada Sham Vadwani. They invited me to first become a member of the lodge, and then after I became a member of the lodge, thinking that I'll just be a supporter from sitting in Chennai, suddenly they sprung the surprise on me saying, we have elected you as master. So it was quite a challenge for me to be a master of a lodge in Mumbai sitting in Chennai. And what was more horrifying for me was when I heard that the lodge had on-roll membership of 60 plus, and they had the average attendance of 5. So they had to borrow people sitting in Freemasons Hall when the time of the meeting came, make it 7 in order to actually have the meeting. And the last initiate of the lodge was 14 years earlier. So they had 14 years of no new inflow. So I said, my God, what the hell have I got myself into? But then the members of the lodge are truly wonderful, brethren. They said, let's all work together and let's get this thing done. And as I say, the good Lord works in mysterious ways. So just before I was installed as master, 2 movies came out. One was Da Vinci Code, the other one was National Treasure. And then suddenly there was this huge interest among youngsters wanting to get into Masonry. And our lodge was the first lodge to have a website. And coincidentally, Right Vashpada Sham Vadwani became Grand Webmaster for the Grand Lodge of India. So any brother from any person from Mumbai wanting to or expressing an interest in Masonry and contacting either a lodge website or the Grand Lodge website was immediately directed to me. And I kind of hoovered them inside the Lodge Reginald Spence. And I was master for 2 consecutive years, and we had 21 initiations. And I'm very happy to inform you, out of the 21, a considerable majority have remained with us and have turned out to be absolutely classy Masons. So they're a great asset to the Masonic fraternity. So they're continuing to do well. I wish them all well. And soon we'll be having our centenary coming up. So we are gearing up ourselves for that.
Absolutely wonderful. What do you see the future of the craft and this and its philanthropic work? Is there something that's going to? How do you see this future come out from the philanthropic aspect of it, with regards to Freemasonry?
See, the golden age, as they call it, of Masonry was between the 2 wars. That's when Masonry kind of became ultra popular, both in America as well as in England and the continent. Post the Second World War, there was a little bit of bump also because of the baby boomers sort of thing. But thereafter, it has been a steady decline worldwide. And I'm sorry to say this, but every time you see the quarterly summons or the quarterly communications of the United Grand Lodge of England, there is one item in the agenda which is to erase certain lodges. So on average, every quarter, they're erasing X number of lodges. And the number of lodges that are being erased are certainly greater than the number of lodges being consecrated. So that is a worldwide phenomena. It's happening in other constitutions also. UGLE, since those records are easily accessible, one can check out these things. Similarly, in America, it used to be numbering in the millions. It's steadily falling. In our own country,
5 million. It used to be 5 million in the US. I think
yeah,
they were
but
the largest in the world.
It's steadily falling there also. And the thing was, you see, in those days, especially between the wars and post Second World War, the opportunities for men to get together and share some kind of camaraderie were very far and wide in between. Masonry gave them a wonderful opportunity to do so. Masonry gave them a brotherhood. Masonry also, if you remember, in the early 20th century, was also sort of a mutual benefit society, especially among Prince Hall Masons. The Masons ran their own quasi-banking, in the sense that they would look after each other's help, like an insurance, co-insurance scheme for them, so some things of that nature. Some kind of a death benefit too when they died. So Masonry provided this umbrella for all these brethren. And it was therefore that much more interesting and attractive for them. Masonry also provided them the idea of equality. May not have been a fact or reality, but at least it provided them an idea about it. When we come to the post-baby boom generation, the challenges and attractions and distractions came far and wide. The kid of today, his world is quite different from what it was even 20 years ago. He's got many more avenues in which he can invest his time and energy. It's not necessary that it has to be a Mason to enjoy the quote unquote benefits of Mason. So he can have many other avenues for that. The challenge for us is to make it relevant and make it attractive for this young person, the future leader of our Masonic movement. How are we going to attract him to join us, stay with us, and stay committed and interested? That's the challenge. So we need to re-examine everything that we do. And the time is over when we remain hidebound in some antiquated sense of established usages and practices. The only established usage and practice which we should practice are the three fundamental things: brotherly love, relief, and truth. Nothing else. So if we can stay true to those fundamentals, virtues, then we need to find and examine and find out new modes of communication, new standards of behavior, new approaches to how we conduct ourselves. Then only we can be relevant.
With regards to the esoteric studies and Freemasonic education that currently the young Masons of today want to get into, what would you say for maybe a starting Mason or somebody who's getting into the study aspect of it? Where should they start looking, or what should they start studying first? I mean, what would you say the entry points of these educational practices would be?
Well, first of all, I would suggest that we be a little slow in getting into the esoteric and other aspects of Masonry. It would be better if we first establish ourselves on the other aspects of Masonry and then slowly evolve into that. Because if you make the transitional jump too soon and too fast, you may miss out something. Let me put it this way. If you are given, when you are a candidate for initiation, passing, or raising, when the ceremony is done to you by somebody else, you absorb a certain portion of what has been told you. Next time when you're asked to memorize a particular piece and deliver it to somebody else, you get a little more information, little more understanding of that particular paragraph or the charge. And the third or fourth time you're deliver the same charge, it becomes a little more ingrained in your mind, and then you start understanding a little bit more. It's not just the words. Otherwise, it could be parroted out like a story of building of King Solomon's temple. It's a lovely story and we're done with it. But when you deliver that same charge multiple times, you start appreciating something more in it. There is a little bit more in that. There's some story behind it. There's some thought process behind that. That's when you start appreciating it. And then ultimately you start understanding the symbolism which is implied there. When somebody talks about square and compass, it's no longer just those two metallic pieces. There is something there. Why is it kept there? Then the inquiring mind starts asking questions. Why is it this way? Why is it not the other way? Why is it, kept where it is kept? What does it mean? So these questions pop up, and then you start examining them and finding out answers for yourself. The ultimate stage is when you start reading in between the lines what is not written. And that is when you reach the position of the speculative mason. You start speculating. Could it mean this? Could it mean that? If so, why so? So that's when you reach the esoteric part of it. That's what I meant by saying you should not spring from this level to that level without going through the intermediary steps. So it should be a gradual process of understanding, self-discovery, questioning, examination, validation, and then proceed onwards. So once you reach that final stage of being a truly speculative mason, then you're no longer in the oyster. The oyster has been split open and the whole world is there for you to see. Until then, you remain that undiscovered pearl in the oyster.
Wonderful analogy, absolutely pictorial. What part of the ritual do you favor the most? I mean, for you, since you won the trophy for doing these rituals, what is your favorite part of the ritual, of which order, or anything specific?
Well, of course, I love the craft ritual because I found that fascinating. But if you ask me what are my favorite ritual portions, there are three which I find absolutely the top-notch. The first is the mystical lecture of the Royal Art Chapter. It is a lecture delivered by the first principal to the candidate. I think it's one of the finest ritual pieces ever written. It's full of esoteric stuff, and it's brilliantly written. And if it is delivered well, nothing can be more impactful. I had the privilege of most especially the Captain Dr. Vishwakumar delivering that to me when I was exalted in my chapter. It has remained in my mind ever since, and that is going back to 1999. And I find that still seared in my memory, and I love that piece. The second one is in the Royal Masters, in the Royal and Select Masters order. This is a ritual which is where Hiram Abiff is about to go for his midday offerings to God. So he's accosted by somebody who's asked when he'll get his secrets to the Master Mason. So he tells him that he can't give it just like that. He has to be worthy of it. And he has to do it with the concurrence of the other two Grand Masters. So then this particular person accosting him asks him, suppose you die, how will I get it? So then Hiram Abiff gives a lecture on death. That particular lecture is one of the finest lectures in Masonry. He describes what happens at the point towards death, what happens after death. It's one of the most moving lectures you can imagine. And the third one is in the Knight Templars. Part of that ceremony is when you're asked to do a pilgrimage. And that's when you're supposed to think about your own mortality, about your own travel through life. And, it's mostly an internal process. Not much is said. But the whole atmosphere which has been generated by the time you reach that particular portion in the ceremony leads you to that. It's almost a period of intense solitude. So that's one of the, again, a brilliant work. So those three things, I think, are in no particular order, but those I think are the most impactful things. Of course, the craft is, I don't want to compare craft with this. The craft itself has got so many moments which are moments of epiphany. But these three other rituals in the progressive orders are something which are remarkable.
Okay, thank you so much. What do you think the extent of charity in Freemasonry today in India is? And since you have also been a part of many charitable endeavors with regards to Freemasonry, could you give us an understanding of the impact of Freemasonry with regards to charity in India?
See, the thing one must understand is that charity is not an object of Freemasonry. The objective of Freemasonry is to help the Freemason become a better person day by day. And by that, I mean better than somebody else. It's not a comparison between two Freemasons. It's a person becoming better today than what he was yesterday. In other words, he himself is improving his own life and his own behavior. So hopefully becomes a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better employer, a better employee, whatever you wish to, talk, a better citizen. So that's the idea. So as a process in that improvement and bettering oneself, the finer aspects of humanity come in play. One of them is sympathy and empathy for those less advantaged than ourselves. The charity is an offshoot of that. Charity is not an objective. So what the Masonic charity is done because we feel it's the right thing to do, not because we are obliged to do it. So therefore, it has been a tradition among Masons that whatever charity is done under Masonic umbrellas is not publicized. It is done because it has to be done. So unlike, say, other organizations, I'm not casting any aspersion on any other organization. They have their own ideology behind it. But a Masonic charity is in this school of thought. So having said that, the amount of Masonic charity that has been accomplished over the period of time across the world is humongous, especially in America and other places. In India, despite us being a country of the 1.2 plus billion population, the number of Masons is embarrassingly low. And the consequent dimension of a charity is also not something which is massive. And still, in spite of that, there have been several instances of commendable charity done by Masons. And not surprisingly, these things come at the time of a national need. I remember the very first major Masonic charity program we were involved in, Lord Srinivasa Gopala, was when the Kargil happened, and then after that was the Gujarat earthquake. There was an appeal sent by Grand Lodge that we need to do something about this. So Srinivasa Gopala rose to the occasion, and every brother kind of contributed to the cause, and our lodge contributed the highest in the entire country towards those relief projects. And it was a spontaneous move, not that somebody was driving you or hounding you to do that. No. Again, it says because it's the right thing to do. So similarly, when the Jyotirgamaya project was announced, Reginald Spence came forward and set up two such solar lighting projects in 2 remote villages in the Palghar area. Again, it was because it was the right thing to do. Nobody forced anybody else. Similarly, Millennium Lodge has been supporting Shankar Nethralaya and another organization called New Shine Trust for the last almost 2 decades now. There's a whole ward named after Millennium Lodge in Shankar Nethralaya. So we donated the money for the ward. And that was not just the Millennium Craft Lodge, but all the Millennium bodies, Millennium Chapter, Millennium Mark Lodge, Millennium RM Lodge, Millennium Chapter Rose Craw, other allied bodies. So if you go to Shankar Nethralaya, you will see the plaque there saying donated by this. That was inaugurated by the then Grandmaster, Captain Dr. Bishwa Kumar. A New Shine Trust is set in one of the impoverished slum areas of North Chennai. We have helped them acquire the piece of property, and first floor has been built. The second floor is under construction. So they run training center there for the slum kids, a computer training center, a sewing center. We also have a medical checkups for them. We have donated a mobile library, Maruti van, and the total charity which we have done is almost 35 lakhs. So that's quite a substantial amount. But again, we do it because it's the right thing to do, not because we need some publicity about it. So the Grand Lodge has done a lot of charity. Jyotirgamaya brought in light to 100+ remote villages. And this was when solar lighting was not as popular as it is now. So we were far ahead of the curve. Like that, Masonic hospitals being run in Delhi, in Coimbatore, various other centers. So this is something we have been doing it for some time. It's silent.
Even during the COVID pandemics, there's been a lot of initiative from the brethren.
True, and a lot of work has been done. Again, it's not proper to put some kind of monetary, value on these things. I think we should remove ourselves from this monetary aspect of it and then see what's the impact. So brethren have worked tirelessly under very difficult circumstances with great peril to themselves and have done yeoman service for the societies they live in. That ought to be recognized and that ought to be emulated.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderfully said, sir. What advice would you give to other brethren in Freemasonry? Just as an ending question from your side, could you give us an understanding? What do you think maybe they want to know, they don't want to know? What could you give us, as a stepping stone for maybe the future of our journey towards Freemasonry?
First of all, brethren, you must enjoy Freemasonry. The moment you stop enjoying your Masonic experience, then you become disinterested. So please don't ever cease enjoying Masonry in all its efflorescence. Masonry has much to provide, and it's for you to enjoy it. So don't take it as a burden. If you are interested in Masonry, you can be a very good Mason by being good in one or many aspects of Masonry. You can be a wonderful ritualist. Please continue being a good ritualist, deliver a good ritual to the fresh candidates, impress upon their minds how wonderful Masonry is. You will be doing a great service for that. You may be a wonderful fundraiser. We need more of you. You may be somebody who can identify the need and deliver charitable projects. We need you too. You may be a wonderful raconteur and give a wonderful after-dinner speech. We certainly need you to liven up our festive boards. So you could be an administrator of surpassing skill. We need good secretaries. We need good treasurers. So we need everyone. There is no such thing as being oh, it's only this, it's not that. Sorry. He is an individual, he's a brother, he's got talent, we need that talent. And all these things combine to make what Masonry is today. So we need everyone. Most important is that you must be interested and enjoy Masonry. If you do that, your path is clear.
Thank you so much, Right Virtual Brother Bharat Epur, for this amazing, in-depth, on-the-level platform where we could actually delve into your psyche and extract these wonderful stories and events that you have experienced, sharing them with other viewers and people on people of the world. So thank you so much for your time and everything.
Thank you, Brother Richard. Thank you, Brother Anol. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I wish you well. Stay safe. God bless you all.
To give us your feedback in the comments below. And a hearty thanks to all the brethren and visitors who joined us on today's episode. We hope that you found something special and informative. We look forward to interacting with you on our social media channel. So join us on the next time for an all-new episode. Until then, please hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Also press the bell icon. So join us at the same Masonic time and the same Masonic place. This is the Quarry Side Chat team, and we wish you a magical week ahead. Until we meet again, let us now part on the square. Goodbye.